All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those really, really tough books that you're not going to see at your LCS when you go there every week. These are books you got to do some legwork, some hunting, some tracking, get lucky in a lot of cases to find one. So this is some tough stuff that I find interesting and thought it would be fun to share some of the information out there as far as sales, CGC numbers, etc. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. Yes, we hit 3,000 subscribers, and yes, we will still be doing a giveaway very, very soon. I'm just trying to get past this COVID thing first before we get into that. Yes, I'm on lockdown and trying to fight through this and still giving you guys the content I want to deliver to you. So don't let a little thing like COVID stop me. That said, if you want to see what books I got for you this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right. So, as many of you probably know, I recently got back from Disney. That's where I got sick, I'm assuming. Either there or the airport. One or the other, half dozen, half a dozen, whatever. You know the old sayings. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're not going to let that hold me back. I'm going to keep delivering you the content you guys all deserve. And with that said, I've got Disney on the brain, and I've had this in my pocket for a little while to get back to. So we're going to start off with a little bit of Disney material, focusing in on Tangled. Yes, Tangled. I know there's rumors that they might make a live action movie of this at some point. I don't know. Maybe they'll pivot away from that because of some of the difficulties Disney is having with some of their films and streaming stuff. But we'll see what happens. Regardless of whether they move forward with a live action product or not, these comics are still out there, and these comics are still very, very tough to find. And the comics that I'm talking about are these IDW retailer incentives. Again, you guys know my affinity for 1 in 10 IDW retailer incentives. The low ratios, a lot of places qualified for them. There's some out there, maybe not a ton, but they're attainable things that you can go and track and hunt and find. With that said, we're going to start off with Tangled, the series #1. This is the retailer incentive for that #1 for the first series, the first time in comics for them. 1 in 10. This came out in, 2018? February 2018. This is the Nathan Reno cover. 1 in 10 from IDW. This is kind of those fun things I'm talking about. Who knows where you might find this? Go dig in those kid boxes. Look for that RI in the top box from the IDW there, and then you'll know that that's one of the retailer incentives. This book had an estimated print run, according to Comic-Con, of only about 6,000. So if we do that basic ratio math, we're talking maybe 600. Again, this is not an exact science. This is not an exact number. This is based off of what we have available to us. Again, Comic-Con, for better or for worse, is our best source for, order numbers for those times. And then we know the retailer incentive, and you do that basic math, that's where we get this estimated number from. It's not set in stone. It's the best we got. But, it's still kind of a fun guide that you can use to kind of get an idea of how many may be out there. Also, we do have the CGC census, which tells us that this particular book only has 2 graded copies in the census, both of them Blue Label 9.8s. But that's it. Now, this video might go quick, not just because I only have half my voice, but because we're going to see a lot of what we've got coming forward. Ready? No copies sold recently. I mean, even the regular series doesn't sell all that often, let alone the 1 in 10s. And yeah, none available either. Again, this is going to be a very familiar story, so let's keep it going. That's #1 for that first series. But that wasn't the only series that Tangled had. There was also the second series that came out. I think this was a hair-raising adventure. I think was the subtitle for this one, possibly. I could be wrong, but this is a Gabby Zapata cover. This was in October 2018. So later that year, we got another series, another 1 in 10. I believe it's only a 3-issue run. This one, much lower print run than the last. This one only has about 3,700 copies. So our incentive is maybe 375. Nobody even bothered to grade this one, so there's none in the census for this. And as I said, no copies sold, no copies available. It's going to be a very familiar story. Let's talk about issue 2. Issue 2, retailer incentive cover. Again, these are all, very basic Disney type covers. But, it's not too bad. October 2018, same month, just later in that month, this came out. Print run was down to about 2,900, so just under 3,000. So that gives us just under 300 potentially on this incentive, which also has no graded copies in the census. So no graded copies in the census. Also, no copies, raw or graded, sold within the last 3 months on eBay. Or are there any available to buy? So as I said, I'm not saying these things aren't out there. Just saying that right now, there's none listed and none selling. So get to looking. Maybe you can track some down and put some out there on the market. And then who knows what'll happen? Who knows what these are even worth? There's none selling. So I don't even know what the prices might be on these. That said, I think we got one more for the series. Yes, issue 3. Finishing this off. Again, another Gabby Zapata cover here. This one came out the next month in November 2018. 1 in 10, as of all of these have been. Print run dips a tiny bit to about 2,800. So we're looking at about 284 of this incentive out there. No copies graded. No copies sold. And once again, no copies available. Good luck if you want to start hunting Tangled books. But there was yet another series following this. Because remember, Disney did have, it's called Tangled the series, because this is based off the animated show. I think it was on Disney Plus, maybe just Disney. It's on Disney Plus now. But this is the animated series that these comics, I believe, are based off of. And this is the last series. Here and Now is the subtitle of this one. Again, another 3-issue series. Both of these 3-issue runs have little trade paperback collected editions. And then there's that one-off that was the first Tangled one that we started with. But anyway, don't want to get sidetracked too much with that information. This is 2019, April 2019 for this second series, 3-issue series. Same artist doing the covers, 1 in 10. Print run back up a little bit because it's a new number 1, 3,200. So our incentive is about 327 potentials. But even with that, still none submitted or graded in the census. And once again, we're going to see this word a lot today. None and none. Number 2. Let's see if we can find any of these. Issue 2 for Here and Now. Another 1 in 10. RI. Again, I keep telling you, look at that top box up in the corner. It says RI cover. That means retailer incentive from IDW. They're one of the few publishers that actually do that. I think it's kind of helpful. I wish Marvel would do that and not just confuse us with just throwing cover after cover after cover and just making me rely on the barcode. But that all said, May 2019 on this one. Another 1 in 10. Print run is only about 2,500 thereabouts, so we're looking at maybe 254 of the incentive. And much like the last few, no copies graded, no copies sold, and yes, you guessed it, no copies available. Which brings us to our last Tangled book. Yes, this is the last Tangled book, and then I promise I will pivot to another topic, because I'm sure you're probably tired of me saying none, none, and none. Issue 3, final issue of the Here and Now series. Another 1 in 10 incentive. Same cover artist. This is June of 2019, so only a few years ago. Print one was down to about 2,300, so our incentive is looking at maybe 234 copies. This one actually does have 2 copies in the census. Retailer incentive edition. There is a 9.4 and a 8.0. So 194, 180. The only 2 graded copies of this book. Yeah, there's something. It's not nothing, right? We found something. But they're none sold. And I'm sorry to say there are none available yet again. So, clean sweep on the Tangled series. All right. So, we'll pivot off of Tangled just to wrap us up for the day here and give you a few other options, but we're still going to stay on the kid side of things because that's where my mind's at. Again, I just got back from Disney. It's the most magical place on earth. It was a lot of fun. With that said, I'm surprised people have forgotten about this series so quickly. I mean, yes, it was just the animated show. I know there was a lot of hype and hoopla and waiting, but yeah, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's kind of just got thrown to the back of the line. Nobody seems to care anymore. But with that said, there's still some interesting books to go out there and look for and go out and hunt. And I know we've talked about some of these before, especially some of those earlier incentives, but now we're going to get into some of the later incentives, starting off here with issue 19. Yes, issue 19. This is a Marcos Martin cover. This is a 1 in 25 incentive from May of 2017. I believe this issue was one that got a lot of hype and a lot of talk because I think there was like Girl Moon was being introduced or something here. So that was getting a lot of push at the outset. There might even been a store exclusive. I can't remember. But print run was still only about 14,000 on this thing. So that would give our 1 in 25 incentive maybe about 570 copies if we do that basic math. Again, it's an estimate. It's not set in stone. Don't take that as gospel. But we do have a number of these graded because, like I said, a lot of people were talking about this when it came out. We actually have 66 in the census with 62 9/8s, 2 9/6s, and a couple of others kind of rounding that out. Even with all of that hype from a few years ago, today, none have sold. Last 3 months, no copies sold, raw or otherwise, for this 1 in 25 for number 19. Found that kind of interesting. Almost as interesting as the fact that when I went to look for copies available, I only found one. And it was from My Comic Shop. Has a 9/8 listed for $230. I just imagined there would have been more. But no, that's all we got. Up next, issue 25. Also had a 1 in 25. I actually got one of these because I like this cover. This is a Raza cover for November 2017, 1 in 25. Like I said, I liked this one when it came out. So I bought it. I think I bought it off Midtown for like $13 because at the time they were still doing that. You could get ratios for like half ratio. Like you could order early from Midtown. Like the week before, you can order from Midtown and get them at a decent price. Now they're charging market prices, so it's not as much fun. You can still get the occasional cheap one, but by and large, you're paying over ratio now at Midtown to order those things. But, all good things must come to an end eventually, I guess. With that said, this particular book, issue 25, had about 21,000 in the print run, so we're upping our incentive to maybe 850 copies. In the census, we have a few, not a ton, only 18. We have 11 9/8s, 5 9/6s, a couple of 9/4s, and that looks like that's it. As far as sales go, we did find one, and it sold pretty cheap. Raw copy, only $15.50 on 2 bids. Not too bad. Not too bad for a 1 in 25. Like I said, it's a pretty cool cover. The transformation there, Raza, I like it personally. That's why I bought it. But I just got it for me. I'm not saying this is an investable or anything like that. You do what you want with your money. I'm just giving you the information and you act on it accordingly. With that said, listed for sale, I did find a few. This one, I did find a few. Granted, they weren't as cheap as that one that sold, but we got Raws looking at $75 to $90. Then I got a 9/6 for $160, and then another 9/6 for $115. But that's what's out there. Last little bit, another title we're going to pivot to, and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. Again, my voice is kind of going on me, so thanks for bearing with me. Lockjaw and the Pet Avengers Unleashed. I say that because that's the second volume, the second series for Lockjaw and the Pet Avengers. There was a first series. We covered those already, I believe, on this show. Now we're talking about the second miniseries run, Unleashed. These are, well, mostly 1 in 15, so there's 1 in 20 in here. But before we get to that, this is a 1 in 15 for issue 1. This is a Roger LaGrange, March 2010, 1 in 15 incentive, totem pole style. You got Throg at the top. Kind of fun. Lockheed in there. Zaba. Is it Zaba? Is that the name of the saber-tooth tiger from Kazar? And then you got Lockjaw and a couple other little creatures in there as well. Anyway, this title, again, kids type title, not heavily printed. Only 8,500 thereabouts. So that gives our 1 in 15 incentive maybe 570 copies if we do that math. In the census, I found one. 194. That was it. Also, no copies sold in the last 3 months. This is like the Tangled book all over again. But I did find a couple available. Not many, but I found 3. $100 for a 9/4. 120 for a raw, $90 for a raw. So these things ain't cheap. Not cheap if you can find it. So, gets to digging. Maybe this is something kind of fun you can go find in a box somewhere. Issue 2, pretty fun. It's the poker playing cover. It reminds me of the dogs playing poker. And yes, we do have some dogs playing poker, but we got other creatures playing poker here as well. Kind of fun. This is also a 1 in 15. This is a Scott Kurtz cover from April of 2010. Print run dips on this one down to about 6,700. So our incentive maybe 450 copies. None graded. Here we go. We got some more nuns for you. None sold the last 3 months. Here we go. It's Tangled all over again. And none for sale. So good luck. Good luck looking for this one. I kind of like this one. I wouldn't mind finding this and getting this one in my collection. Again, for cheap. I don't want to pay a lot of money because I'm a cheap guy. So, that's why I put this stuff out there. I like looking. And when the prices are too high, that's all I do. I look and then hope and dream and wish that I find one for a price that I can afford. That said, let's move on to issue 3. Issue 3 here is a little bit different because this is actually a 1 in 20. This is a Takeshi Miyazawa cover, May 2010. Hopefully I said that properly. Print run again, dips once down to 6,300. And with a dip down in print and a higher ratio, our incentive may only be 316 now. Again, estimate. Don't know for sure how many. That's an estimate. But it's not an estimate to tell you, and nobody submitted this for grading because there's none in the census. There are also none sold recently. And as far as what's available, well, I did find 3. Found a couple. 45, 55, 60 bucks, all 3 raw. There you go. Still, that's a decent price for a 1 in 20. Talking double to triple ratio. More than double to triple ratio. Pretty good if you can find it. All right. And now for our last book of the day. This is one you guys probably already know. I know this book has been talked up before by other channels, people over time, because it is a cool cover. It really is. I do like it. It's also an artist that is very popular. This is a Scotty Young. This is issue 4, Throg. For whatever reason, a popular animal type anthropomorphic character in the Marvel universe. Scotty Young, 1 in 15, June 2010 for this issue 4. Print run on this down to about 6,100. Our incentive may be about 400 copies, a little more than 400. In the census, since again, this has been talked about, people have graded this, but not many, only 8. We got 398s, 294s, and 390s. That's it. It's not a ton. And with this book, we do have sales. The last 3 months, we have 2 sales, and they weren't cheap. Best offers accepted on $300 and $400. I didn't bother to dig in to find the exact accepted offer price. Point being, it's hundreds of dollars, no matter what we're looking at here. It's not like this thing sold for 15 bucks on a $400 offer, so I didn't bother digging into it any further than that. You get the idea. This is a very expensive book for 1 in 15. So if you find it, you found yourself a nice little gem there. But to find it, you're going to have to keep looking because, yes, another one that has none available right now. Just saying. It was a very tough week, I should say. Not a tough week. It was a very tough week for books that you can actually go and find right now. But that's the challenge, right? That's what makes this whole thing fun. At least it makes it fun for me. I don't know what the answers are before I get into it. I got a list of books I'm trying to cover, and then I just pick and choose when I want to do them. I chose this batch that I put together in lots of 12 because that seems like a good number for me to cover. But I put this together because it was timely for me because I just got back from Disney. So I thought doing these kids' books would be kind of fun. How did I know we would only have these 3 that have multiple copies available? When I say multiple, I think they all had like 3 or 4. So these 3 are hard to find. 2 of the Lockjaw, Pet Avengers Unleashed, and that one Moon Girl 25, 1 in 25 incentive. But meanwhile, all of those Tangled books, that's right, all the Tangled books, and that one Moon Girl, and 2 of the Lockjaw Pet Avengers, that's 7 Tangled books, just so you're aware. All of them we can call ghosts because most of these didn't have anything. I think the only one that had one listed was that Moon Girl. That Moon Girl had 1 copy. That was it. Everything else, there's none out there right now. So happy hunting. But that's all I got for you this week. Like I said, I know it's a little bit short, but again, my voice is kind of going on me. I'm kind of fighting off this COVID thing. Hopefully, it passes pretty soon. I'm already feeling a little bit better than yesterday, but my voice is getting a little worse. With that all said, thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I'm also going to do an article for this over on comicbookinvest.com, so make sure you go and check that out as well. I'm trying to do articles as often as I can because that's where I got my start here, folks. I started on that website, writing dollar bin digging. Actually, started writing Usual Suspects way back then. That was my own topic idea, and I was just talking about random books that I wanted to talk about with the same irreverent humor that I have now and movie clips and quotes and think, you go. I was just being me, but in written form. And then Ben gave me dollar bin digging to do, and I said, all right, I'll do that too. Been doing that for years. And then from there, started doing the YouTube thing once we all got locked down for the pandemic. And speaking of the pandemic, still fighting this bug. So I'm going to go get some rest, going to go relax. Make sure you check out all of the stuff here on the channel. I will hopefully be back closer to myself tomorrow live for the tax show on Wednesday. And yeah, with that all said, see you all soon with some more content. All right, later.